Hey everyone, welcome to Average Football Talk, the most average football talk show ever. Anthony Miller here. Know it's been a little bit, but I wanted to get back on the mic and wanted to get in front of you guys. Had an interesting thing come up today in terms of UFL news that I wanted to cover. Originally, I was going to cover the debacle that was Bill Belichick and North Carolina and that performance against TCU, and I might still do that, but I just feel like I needed to bring something up in terms of what's going on with certain UFL comments that were made. I saw this from James Larson. He had posted something with Barstool. I guess they started their new show, Wake Up Barstool, on FS1. That launched today as part of the partnership between Barstool and Dave Portnoy and Fox Sports to kind of help with programming with FS1. So I saw that Dave Portnoy had made some comments about the UFL. So apparently, according to the clip that James Larson had posted, for what I heard, it was Dave Portnoy was on the air and he talked about how the new UFL owner Mike Repole had brought up that he was dying for Dave, quote unquote, was dying to get him involved in the UFL and showed interest in being a play caller in the league in 2026. Now, obviously, we all know. I mean, I would hope this is kind of an obvious thing that Dave Portnoy being a play caller in the UFL is not realistic or should even be considered realistic. I'm sure it's just him. I don't know. Sometimes you can't really tell with Dave if he's being, tongue in cheek with his comments or if he actually means it. He seemed to be really doubling down on the fact that he could be one of the great offensive play caller minds or something like that. Saw some clips on that today as well. I don't know. I think it's just Dave being Dave, but the interesting part was him bringing up the UFL specifically, and Rapoli wanted him to be involved. Let me just say this right now. Look, I'm all for getting the UFL to have more people in front of them, more traction. And I know it seems like it would make sense for Barstool to get more involved in the UFL and help out in some capacity. I know Dave's got a lot of pull with knowing people and, obviously he's a rich man. I think, could he bring value in terms of, the financial parts of the UFL? Absolutely. Do I think it would be the right choice for the league to work with him? Absolutely not. I would not support it in any way possible. I think it would not be the greatest thing for the league. And maybe it's just me being a little personal towards Portnoy. I don't like him on a personal level. I don't like how he goes about his business. I don't like how he, treats employees. I don't like how he's just very bombastic with everything that he does. And I don't mind people being vocal and sharing their feelings and stuff like that, but he's gotten a lot of trouble in the past for stuff that he has said. I know he's had some controversy around him in terms of what comments he has made and stuff like that. And I respect the fact that maybe he's not afraid to put himself out there and kind of speak his mind, but at the same time, there's a lot of things on his past that I don't know if I can push past with him. And again, like I just don't like his treatment of employees. I think there has to be a certain respect level when it comes down to people that work under you, and I just don't think he really has that. It's so tough for me to kind of go back and forth because the UFL could use all the publicity it can get. I really think it could use anything it can to get big names to help support them. But the reality is they already have big names that they can take advantage of. They have one of the biggest movie stars in the world who just got, a 15-minute standing ovation for his performance in the new movie that he has coming out about the UFC fighter. Where's Dwayne The Rock Johnson? I love to see The Rock post more. I have been very critical of him in the past for not being as vocal and not posting as much as he did when he owned the XFL 2 years ago. I'd love to see more of him. You have star power in the UFL. You have people that care about it. And, Mike Repole's done a great job up to this point. But I got to say, if it's true that Mike Repole is thinking about, bringing in Dave Portnoy or trying to get him involved, I'm telling you, that is the wrong direction to go. I don't think the UFL needs to have that kind of publicity, even though I know the common saying is, there's no such thing as bad publicity, even bad publicity is good publicity. I just don't think this is the right way to go about it. I think what Rapoli has done so far with, interacting with fans and trying to get their views, and trying to get their comments, I think that's been the right way to go about it. I know some people feel like maybe he's been a little too much into the weeds of talking to fans, but I love that approach. But if you're going to bring in other people, I mean, why not bring in Tom Brady? I mean, I would rather have Tom Brady at this point coming help with the UFL versus Dave Portnoy. I just think Portnoy is going to bring too much controversy. And Rapoli already works with Tom Brady on a with business moves. So I think it would be great for Brady to come in and kind of help out. I mean, Brady already works for Fox. You already got that connection there. He does business with Rapoli. Like that would make perfect sense. But to get into business with Portnoy and get some of the stuff that he has said in the past, with some racial comments, sexual assault allegations towards him. Everyone can feel how they want about that. May be true, may not all be true, but I just think that's the type of thing that the UFL just can't afford to have right now, and they need to have different figure faces for the league. I think Mike Repole is good to have, and I think you have some people within the league now that can, give the league a good image. I think Daryl Johnson's been really great for, what he's done from the USFL to the UFL. You got Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Hopefully he can keep, maybe he can get more involved. I'd love to see him tweet and post more. I think Danny Garcia's been great. That's been a great push to talk about, a woman in business and the job that she has done and really pushing from the XFL to the UFL. Those are people that we should be pushing more on. And man, I just really hope that Rapoli doesn't actually bring in Portnoy. I would love for them to stay away from that. I would get why they would want to talk to him just because of the publicity he's got, the money he's got, the fan base that he's got that can bring in a whole new fan base for the league. I just think sometimes you have to put your morals ahead on certain situations. And I just truly feel like this is one of those ones. So I don't know, just felt compelled to talk about this topic. And, I certainly hope Rapoli is not going to go down that direction. If he is watching, I'm just saying, Rapoli, like, please don't go down this route. As somebody who's been covering spring football since 2019, I would really hate to, you know, see someone like Portnoy be involved and kind of go down this rabbit hole. So that's what I wanted to say about it. We'll see what happens with planning with the UFL and see if there's any other people that's going to get involved. But I would say, you want to bring in Tom Brady, that might not be a bad option. So that's all I got today. Like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you guys think about, Portnoy potentially being part of this league. I wouldn't worry about the play calling part. I don't think that's realistic. But how would you feel about Portnoy being involved in the business aspect of the UFL and, the media aspect? I think that would be interesting to kind of hear what everyone's thoughts are on that. That will do it for me, and I will be back with another episode too. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.